Okay, so today's video is going to be all about books that my subscribers have convinced me to read. I've compiled a list of 10 books that I didn't pick up on my own. I didn't pick up because a friend recommended it or because the cover appealed to me or anything to do with me. I picked it up specifically because subscribers asked me to read it, and I probably wouldn't have read it were it not for you guys. So this is an appreciation video talking about some of my favorite books that I picked up only because of you. I try to wrap a lot of the books that I pick up based on you guys' recommendations because the whole point of this channel is to chat about books. So I want to be reading books that you guys want to chat about. Sometimes that works out great for me. Sometimes it doesn't work out so well and I end up not liking some suggestions, but you know, there's nothing I can do about that. But there are some amazing books that I've picked up because of you guys, and I want to chat about it. And I'm going to start this list off with a book that I talked about in another recent video, and that's Aeronauts Winless. Jim Butcher is still a fairly new author to me, and I am going to pick up the Dresden Files soon. But Aeronauts Winless was my first book by him, and it sold me on him as an author. One, I really love his writing. He has this very simple, straightforward writing style that at the same time is technically so good and is so easy to hook me and keep me reading. It's hard to describe, but some of my favorite books of all time, I love them in large part because the writing is so beautiful. I don't love flowery writing, but people like Frederick Bachman can draw me in because of his writing. Jim Butcher isn't that way. It's very straightforward, but at the same time, it's so well done and gripping. This book has ships, it has mystery, it has a lot of action. But one thing that it also deals with, one trope that I really don't like, is talking animals. I don't know why, it's just not my thing. And there is a talking cat. I think it's called a werewolf I don't remember. There's a talking cat in this, which I hate. And I loved it so much. The cat acts exactly and responds exactly how you would expect a cat to act and respond. It's just the right amount of snooty. It's perfect. There's also a little girl that I loved following. It's been a while since I've read this, so I don't have an extreme number of details still fresh in my mind, but I remember being so attached to these characters, so interested in everything that was happening. I was just impressed with pretty much every element of this book, and I'm still waiting for book 2, Jim Butcher. Still waiting. I will happily reread this one to keep it all fresh in my head, but I need book 2. Next book on my list, since I just mentioned him, I'll continue on with Frederick Bachman. This is the first Frederick Bachman book I ever read. So this one, and Every Morning the Way Home Gets Longer and Longer, is very short. It is 76 pages. It follows a grandpa, his son, and his grandson, and all of their different perspectives as the grandpa has dementia and is slowly losing himself within his mind. So this book I picked up because a subscriber messaged me and said, "This is my favorite book. No one's talking about it. Could you please read it? I really want someone to talk to." I looked it up. It was on Scribd. It was such a short audiobook. I listened to the audiobook while I was painting a room. And I had to rewind the end of the audiobook 3 separate times and listen to the end of the audiobook 3 separate times because I was crying so hard I could not hear the ending over my sobs. Frederick Bachman has a way of writing that he'll explore such deep and complex issues, and he'll say them in a simple way, but in just the right way that it packs the punch like I've never seen any author do. I love him just for his writing and his brilliant way of deeply and simply yet mind-bogglingly exploring deep subjects. But I also love him because, especially in this book, I really felt like I was seen while I was reading it. I felt like my family was seen while reading this, and it just meant a lot to me. Next, let's go to another favorite of mine, and that's Rebecca. This is a classic thriller. Think domestic thriller. Some people advertise it as a mystery. Don't go in thinking of it as a mystery. This follows a girl who's unnamed, which is brilliant, and she is in a bad situation, meets a fella, falls into obsession, not love. They get married, he takes her off to his manor, and then she learns that his previous wife maybe didn't pass away of the most natural causes. maybe there was some foul play here. Everybody acts weird. Nobody will talk about Rebecca, his late wife. Everybody gets weird when she brings her up. And our main character herself is also really weird because she's taking on Rebecca's personality as much as she can. Literally every character in this book has deep issues. That's one of my favorite things, one of my favorite aspects about thrillers is following people with such intense minds. So I really enjoyed everybody's individual unhealthy mentalities throughout this story. I also just really loved watching it all unfold, and I loved the ending, and I loved the atmosphere, and I pretty much just loved everything about this book, just about. Next, let's talk about Rage of Dragons. This is a fantasy book, and it's such a unique fantasy story, and it's done so well. This is in a world where 1 in every, I think, 1,000 women has the ability to call down dragons, and 1 in every, I'm pretty sure, 100 men has the ability to transform into this fighting beast. This takes place in an area where for hundreds of years they've been under attack. So this follows Tao, who is out for revenge, and he joins this world's military to rise in the ranks so that he can get his revenge. Now, personally, I don't tend to enjoy revenge plots, and there are aspects of this story that did kind of frustrate me, kind of grate on me, because revenge plots can be annoying to follow. But it was not a turnoff in this book, even though there were certain aspects that I was like, come on, Tao, get it together. But for the most part, this is done so well. This is a military fantasy, so we have a lot of battle sequences, a lot of training sequences, and again, the elements, the magical elements that are in this made these things that could get stale not feel stale at all to me. Also, the Sword Brothers are amazing. Friendships, really strong friendships. They get me every time. They got me this time. I loved this fantasy world. I loved the way this magic worked. I was so attached to these characters, and I'm so curious where Tao's gonna go from here. I enjoyed this book so much. And it's one of those books that I saw other people talking about and praising, but you know, I wasn't gonna get to it. I have enough fantasy series that interest me. I wasn't gonna get to it. A subscriber sent it to me. Okay, I guess I'll get to it. And it was so good. We actually buddy read this book over on my Patreon, and we're going to be buddy reading the sequel that's coming out this year. And it was one of the best buddy reads we had because we all loved it. Next, let's do another classic, and it's The Yellow Wallpaper, which, I don't know, it's not really a book. 15 pages. This is about a woman who was diagnosed with something, we don't know what, but some sort of mental illness. And her treatment is to be shut up in an attic by herself, no creativity allowed. She can't write, she can't read, she can't do any sort of artwork, barely any human contact whatsoever. And this thing does not help her mental state. All she can do is stare at the yellow wallpaper. So this was written by a woman who was prescribed this treatment by a doctor, and it made her mental state so much worse. And she wrote this basically to illustrate her experience, and it was a big deal. It actually convinced several doctors to stop using this as a treatment method. I went into this book knowing none of that, or this story, knowing none of that, and I just read it, and it's a horror story, by the way, and it was interesting the entire way through. The ending killed me. It was so amazing. It's such a creepy story. It was great just to be a story. Then knowing the context of it just adds another layer to it. It's 15 pages. Again, I highly recommend it. It was so incredible. Next, let's talk about the First Law trilogy. I actually have talked about this so many times. I have a whole video dedicated to why you should read this, which I'll link there and in the description. But this is grimdark, and grimdark is a genre that I don't usually go for. I like my books to be dark and gritty, but grimdark is usually a step too far. This is probably the only grimdark that I've read and come away saying this was incredible. So if grimdark isn't your thing, but you're willing to maybe try it, I do recommend this one. This is a tough one to describe because its focus is on the characters. It's really not on plot. In fact, plot doesn't even really begin until about halfway through the second book. And as someone who's not an exclusively character reader, I recommend it so much. It's a series that follows such morally gray characters that you kind of just have to pick a bad guy to root for, and all of them have different layers of very gray or just plain bad, but you want to see them do well anyway because you're attached to their humanity. It's a lot of scenarios of, I don't feel like I have a choice to make a good decision because of the situation I'm in, and I'm forced to do something horrible because it's the only option I have, and kind of seeing people deal with their situations and making choices based off of the hopelessness that they're feeling. It's incredible how real these characters feel, how real their decisions that they make feel, and how attached I am to such horrible people. I also just think that Joe Abercrombie is one of the most talented authors I've ever read. His writing is phenomenal. Not flowery at all, just really ridiculously good and gripping. Now let's go to a little bit of a lighter note with The Boy, the Mole, the Fox, and the Horse. This was recently sent to me by a subscriber, and the note said it's for Drennan, so I read it to Drennan. It's not terribly long. The pages don't have a lot on them. It was easy enough that Dren sat through it in one setting. While most of it went over Drennan's head, I cried through it. This is a book that takes really complex thoughts and questions and feelings and breaks them down in the most childlike and simple way that really helps a person understand or feel understood. This is a book that I wish I had grown up reading. This is a book that I will be reading to my kids a lot throughout their lives, and it's a book that I personally want to keep reading a lot throughout my life because whether you're a kid or an adult, this stuff hits hard. I can't express how much I love some of these books. Some of these books just mean so much to me. Speaking of books that mean so much to me, can we talk about Peter Pan? Because this was exclusively a subscriber recommendation. I was just starting to try classics. The curriculum that the school that I went to, they really didn't require us to read very many classics, so I had very little experience with them. And when I decided maybe I should try some classics, see if I like them, Peter Pan was one of the first books that was recommended to me, and I thought, hey, I already know that story. Sure, let's read a book. And this is my favorite book of all time. Actually, I went to Goodreads to prepare for this video, and Peter Pan, according to Goodreads, I've read it 4 times now, and I was just thinking I'm due for another reread. And I've never actually made a video talking about why this book means so much to me, and that's due too. Anyway, I love this book so much. I love the whimsy of it. I love the nonsensicalness of classic fairy tales. I love that Peter Pan is, he's dark and he's a brat and he's so different from what I thought he was, but I love him so much. I love the focus on family and adoption and the importance of familial love in the end of this book. I love the adventures they go on. I love the dynamics between the characters. I feel so many things. This one's really close to my heart. And I wouldn't have read it. I wouldn't have ever read it were it not for subscribers saying, hey, this one's really good. I need to read it again and we need to talk about it. The Girl with 7 Names. This was sent to me by a subscriber. This is a nonfiction about a girl who escaped North Korea into China and then eventually made her way to South Korea. We spent a lot of time in North Korea really seeing what the country was like for her and what growing up there was like, and then her sort of awakening of realizing that what I'm being told isn't actually true. We see her escape, we see her struggle as she's trying to hide in China and pass as Chinese, and then her journey to North Korea and then eventually finding her place in the world. She's really raw about all the struggles she experienced throughout all of it. She's really raw about her entire journey. It was so moving. She's so strong. It was a fantastic book. And finally, I'm going to end it on another classic, and that's The Count of Monte Cristo. I probably wouldn't have read this were it not for subscribers, mostly just because of the size of it. But it's so good. Edmund, is that his name? It's been a minute. Is one of my favorite main characters I've read. I don't want to say too much, but the first chunk, I think first chunk of the book versus the second chunk of the book, they're very different. We start out knowing more than the main character. We know who betrayed him. We know why he was betrayed. We know everything that he doesn't know. We see him having his normal life and then being thrown into prison, and we know what's going on. But then there's a narrative shift. After he spends a lot of time in prison learning from other people things, I won't say, we have a narrative shift where he now knows a lot more than us. He's now broken out of prison and he has an agenda, and it's so smart and it's so intricate, and watching it all come together is brilliant. Just being along for the ride is fun, but watching the pieces come together is incredible. Also, just seeing this character's inner journey and emotional journey and the realizations he comes to along the way is phenomenal. Don't let the size intimidate you. This book is phenomenal. So those are 10 books that I picked up only because of subscribers that have been phenomenal books, some of my favorite books of all time. So again, thank you. I love the relationship that I have with my subscribers. I love being able to chat about books that you guys love. I get a lot of it overwhelmed with the number of recommendations that come in, the number of books that are sent in. It's so loving of you guys, and it has, I could be buried in them. I could be buried in books and no one would find me. But also my reading life would be so different without the community that I have here. And I'm so thankful for how much you guys have improved my reading life. Not just because of the things you recommend, but also just because I love hanging out and talking about books with you guys. The stuff that I'm recommending to you and you're picking up because of me, and we're chatting about the stuff that you're recommending to me and I'm falling in love with. It's been awesome. I love it so much. So we will end this sappy video with me just once again saying thank you. I love my community so much. And I'd love to keep chatting with you guys about any of these books. Have you read them? Have you enjoyed them? And are you planning on picking any of them up? I post videos every Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. I'll see you guys again soon.